We've got some breaking news coming in now. Remember, AIADMK member and Deputy Secretary of the Tiruvallur district, Dakshina Murthy. He is the man whose car was offered to Sasikala. Well, really an enemy. Offered to Sasikala to make her journey back to Chennai, has been sacked by the AIADMK. He's been sacked from the party after he offered his car to Sasikala, who is considered an arch enemy of the AIADMK. A total of 7 office bearers of the AIADMK along with Dakshina Murthy have been sacked by the AIADMK for what they call anti-party activities. They basically gave their vehicle with the AIADMK's flag for Sasikala's use, allowing her to come to Chennai while evading any legal loopholes on the use of the AIADMK flag. The change of vehicle happened while Sasikala was entering the Tamil Nadu border from Karnataka earlier today. We're staying with these live pictures of Sasikala, who has crossed the Walaja checkpoint, which is just over 100 kilometers from Chennai. And as you can see, it's past 11 tonight. But the kind of crowd that has turned out to support her, forget about social distancing or masks or COVID norms, all of that is up in smoke as this big homecoming swagatam is laid out for Sasikala. The ex-convict, a person who almost became the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu almost exactly 4 years ago, has just declared an hour ago that she is entering politics full-fledged and full-time. She cannot hold public office, but this is a show of strength that nobody can deny. You can bet that the AIADMK leadership in Tamil Nadu, as will be all big players in Tamil Nadu, including the DMK and all other political leaders, will be riveted to these images as they're playing out live on national television. This is Sasikala, without so much as lifting a finger, is able to flex a lot of political muscle by flaunting all this public support. Let me remind you that these are live, real-time images coming to you from near the Walaja checkpoint, just before Chennai, just about 100 kilometers from Chennai. Okay, I want to go across to India Today's Pramod Madhav, who's in Chennai. We also have with us our consulting editor, Priyamvada, joining us late tonight. Thanks for being with me, guys. Pramod, coming to you first. This is not ending. This is not tapering off. Pramod, huge crowds, who are running alongside the convoy. This is looking very much like a Vijay Yatra. We understand the convoy is about 100 kilometers from Chennai, but look at these images. It's incredible, Pramod.
Well, Shiv, that's the same situation over here as well. You could see people have started to gather outside Ramapuram. This is MGR's farmhouse, and a lot of people are coming together at this point. Just like you mentioned, it's 11 p.m. and still you can see so much crowd at this location. And just like you mentioned, yes, AIADMK is not happy because not just one person, more than one person has offered her their vehicle for Sasikala, and another person along with Dakshina Murthy was Sarangi, and he even said that it doesn't matter if AIADMK is going to take any action against it. We put forward the same question to the Minister Jayakumar as well about AIADMK failing to make sure that Sasikala removes the party flag from her car, and the minister could only say that there are still betrayers inside the party and it is an unfortunate situation. So that way it looks like one way or the other, the AIADMK government and the AIADMK leaders are still not yet completely ready to handle Sasikala factor, and that's what you could see over here. In fact, this is actually MGR's house. Even though AIADMK government was able to keep her away from JR Memorial at Marina Beach and JR's Memorial at Poise Garden, the residence, they are not able to keep her away from MGR's residence, which is of private property, and she is expected to come over here maybe by 1 a.m. in the morning, and then she's going to go to a statue of MGR which she placed here in 2017, which also carries her name, Sasikala, General Secretary of AIADMK, even now, and she's going to garland it, and from here she's going to go to her home, and that's the reason people have already started gathering over here. Such is the crowd all across the place. Imagine from Bangalore to Chennai, 16 hours gone, and still she's traveling with flood of people greeting her all the way.
Incredible. I mean, these images on the left-hand side of your screen is Pramod you know, with that huge crowd that you just saw for a moment there, waiting for Sasikala as she makes this final leg from you know, from the Walaja border, 100 kilometers from Chennai into the city, the state capital of Tamil Nadu. And these are your live pictures from 100 kilometers away from Chennai. I mean, incredible. Even if that convoy wanted to move a little faster, it probably cannot because of these huge crowds that have turned up. You can see Sasikala, VK Sasikala there in the front passenger seat doing a namaskaram. You know, there are flower petals all over that vehicle. There are people walking alongside her. There are people with placards plastered with pictures of herself with Jayalalitha, who was her mentor, her guru, her friend. She lived with her as well in Poise Garden. There is not a moment of rest. I think Sasikala realizes it. She's had 4 years behind bars. She's an ex-convict. She was inside on corruption charges, but now she has declared her political rebirth. What she wanted to do back in 2017, when she very nearly became the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, she cannot do that for at least the next 6 years because she cannot hold public office. But she has all but declared that she will be a political force to reckon with. Apart from the words themselves, she is showing it with these images. Just look at those crowds. And this is now, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that this has been happening pretty much the entire day today, starting from 8 a.m. when the convoy actually left. Priyambada is also with me. Priyambada, you know, whether it was Arcot, whether it was, you know, any of the other places, Vellore, before that, you know, the temples where she stopped, now to Walaja, and then in Chennai, every single frame that we've been covering of this convoy journey of Sasikala, Priyambada, has one thing in common: huge crowds, all crowding around Sasikala's car. What is this message?
I think it's an absolutely, the visuals that we are seeing before our eyes is a testimony to the kind of power she's wielding, or she was wielding, when ADMK was intact, when Jayalalitha was the General Secretary of the party. Let's not forget, Shiv, that every member of ADMK, from the member to probably every minister right now, they must have passed through Sasikala. She was the one who vetted the posting for every person. Of course, Jayalalitha was the General Secretary, but it was a known fact that Sasikala was vetting the list. She was the one who used to tick, you know, whether this person can be the minister or not. So everyone in some way or the other had been in touch with Sasikala and family, even in the last 4 years, is the message that we are getting from this kind of crowd. But having said that, a bit of disappointment probably is why aren't the MLAs present or the ministers present? Because that was expected at least a day ago, that some of the ministers from the EPS camp might be there to welcome Sasikala, but that's not happening. So it also looks like the ministers and MLAs are in two minds, whether to be with EPS or whether they should shift the vote. And also we have to remember the OPS factor, because we know that OPS's younger son had sent a Facebook message for the speedy recovery of Sasikala. So things are not fine, not just between EPS and OPS. Things are not fine within the OPS family also, because we know that one son has been made the MP and the other son seems not so happy about not getting any post in the ADMK. Sources tell us that he was asking for an MLA seat in the ADMK, and when that seat was denied to him, he immediately posted that.
Priyambada, I'm going to come to the OPS factor in just a bit. It's very interesting, and I know that you've been, you've been reporting that story much more than anyone else. I'm going to come to the EPS factor in just a bit. I just want to, for the moment, focus on Sasikala herself and what her next steps might be, because these images, these images don't need any words to go alongside them. They're absolutely incredible. I want to try and get our viewers to listen into some of the sound coming in from the ground. This was from earlier in Vellore. Take a look. Pictures from right now. These are pictures that are right now in Vellore, where the entire car is covered in petals and huge swarms of supporters all around that vehicle trying to get a glimpse of Sasikala. It's incredible that the crowds that she's been pulling have stretched on till well after 11 p.m. Now, while you look at these images, I want to show you what Sasikala said just a short while ago while she was in Vellore. Look at these two live images, ladies and gentlemen. On the left-hand side of your screen, that's Chennai waiting. That's Chennai supporters waiting for Sasikala. There's a crowd in the city of Chennai as well. And on the right-hand side of your screen, live images of where Sasikala is at this particular moment. Live, real-time images here on India Today. Here's what Sasikala said just a short while ago in Vellore. She took the mic and she made a loudspeaker announcement that has sent ripples across the political landscape of Tamil Nadu. Take a look. So that was Sasikala just a couple of hours ago in Vellore saying, I will enter politics in a full-fledged manner for the people of Tamil Nadu. Once again, just to remind you, as an ex-convict who has spent 4 years behind bars on corruption charges, Sasikala will not be able to hold any political office or public office or contest elections for the next 6 years. But she has declared that she will be a political player to reckon with. Now, remember, Sasikala is someone who has never given interviews, rarely ever interacts with the media. I'm guessing she probably never has given any big TV interviews, but she did speak to India Today just a few years ago before she went to prison. Take a look at what she told us then.
India Today conclave வந்து முதல் முறையாக இங்கே தமிழ்நாட்டில் செஞ்சுருக்கீங்க. இந்த பிராந்திய மொழிகளில் வந்து இந்தியா டுடே எடுத்துக்கிட்டு ஒவ்வொரு மாநிலத்திலும் வாசகர்களை அந்தந்த இப்போ தமிழ்நாடு என்றால் தமிழ்நாட்டு மொழியிலேயே உங்களுடைய பத்திரிகை வருவது ரொம்ப மகிழ்ச்சி அளிக்கிறது. இந்த சேவை தொடர வேண்டும் என்பதே எங்களுடைய விருப்பம்.
It's also a moment for us to reflect and remember Madam Jayalalitha, whose memory everybody remembers very, very fondly as we start the India Today conclave.
Yes. அவர் இந்த முறை இங்கே இருந்திருந்தால் நிச்சயம் அவர் கலந்து கொண்டிருப்பார். இந்தியா டுடே பத்திரிகை மேலே அவருக்கு மிகுந்த அன்பு உண்டு.
I wanted to play that out for you because that was a few years ago, but that was Sasikala speaking to India Today. She never interacts with the media. We'll have to see whether that changes now, now that she's making a full-fledged political entry because the period after her mentor Jayalalitha's death was interrupted by this 4-year incarceration on corruption charges, which she's just free from now. And look at the journey back that she is making. Okay, joining me live, we also have Gopi Krishnan Unithan, who is en route to Chennai. Along this cavalcade route, I want to get a quick live report from him as well. Gopi, take us through what's happening. Huge crowds. This car is barely able to move.
Well, absolutely, Shiv, because it's 11 o'clock, it's 15 minutes past 11 in the night, and still this is quite a great turnout of crowd, I must say, because we have been following this cavalcade all throughout from Ambur, which has been some 100 kilometers from where we are standing right now. But in spite of that, we could see that there is this huge crowd which has come up onto the side of the national highway. Every single point, like every 2 kilometers, you see this crowd, and this is something that is forcing the cavalcade to slow down, because when there are the party cadres, party supporters who are standing on the roadside, trying to greet Sasikala, who is on her way back, then there is no real way she can go ahead without accepting their greetings. And that is exactly what we see over here. There is a huge cavalcade of vehicles. There are at least some 20 to 30 vehicles in this whole cavalcade. And these people that you see here, if I can just ask my camera person to show you from the other side of the road, this will give you a depth of the kind of arrangement and the kind of people who have been standing here. This should anyway be around some 100 meters straight. People are standing on either side of the road, waving the party flags. Remember, I'm just reminding you the time once again. It's 11:15 at the night. We are almost inching closer towards midnight. But these party cadres, these party sympathizers, these Sasikala supporters, these TTV Dinakaran supporters, they all seem really enthusiased and they're really excited to welcome is what we see over here. If I could just recollect you the things that we have been going through since the morning. In the morning, we were actually traveling from Chennai towards Ambur to try and get out to this cavalcade. And from the morning itself, we could see that the party cadres have been camping here on the roadsides at multiple locations all along the highway to ensure that they welcome Sasikala with the party slogans, with the party flags and whatnot. And this is the kind of buzz and crowd that you will see. Shiv, if you could just stay on with me for a couple of seconds, maybe I can show Sasikala in the vehicle. Now these are live visuals coming to you. Remember, we are still some 100 kilometers or at least some 95 kilometers from Chennai. We still have a long way to go because yes, now these are the live visuals that we just brought you across, Shiv.
Yes, we saw that.
This is nothing. This is nothing like what we have seen in the recent past. This is just like a superstar cinema entry, and right behind Sasikala, you have TTV Dinakaran in his vehicle. Yes, you have seen that. Now, remember, Shiv, these are live visuals we are bringing to you from en route to Chennai. There are another 90 kilometers before they can reach Chennai, and I'm sure there will be at least some 20 locations like this where people will be gathering on either side of the road trying to reach these two political leaders who are making a huge comeback to Tamil Nadu and also to the political atmosphere of Tamil Nadu.
You know, it's incredible. No matter what you think about whether Sasikala makes a political splash or not, those images that Gopi Krishnan brought you live just now of Sasikala's cavalcade passing past. I promised you that India Today's cameras and India Today's reporters are the best. They are where the action is. They are precisely where Sasikala is right now. I promised you that, and Gopi has just demonstrated. He's right there with that cavalcade, showing it to you as it happens, because this is a story that a lot of people are watching late tonight. It's late. It's late even by Chennai standards, but people will be glued to these images because of what they possibly portend as far as elections are concerned. Sasikala may not make a big political splash herself because she cannot, but what kind of role will she play is a tantalizing question for experts, and there is a great deal of suspense and anticipation in the people of Chennai and the people of Tamil Nadu into what this confidant, close friend of Jayalalitha will actually do in the political landscape of poll-bound Tamil Nadu. I also want to welcome onto my coverage this evening V.A. Pugarendi is a spokesperson of the ruling AIADMK, which has put its foot down and said there is no way that she is coming back into the party. That is 100% clear. We also have C. Rajshekharan. He's the founder of Voice of Tamil Nadu, also a well-known advocate in the city. Priyamvada continues to be with us. Mr. Pugarendi, coming to you first. I know you. I know your formal stand is, let her come. It's okay. She's coming back. But is the AIADMK worried about this huge show of support? Huge show of support for Sasikala. She's an ex-convict. She has just spent 4 years in jail on corruption charges. She has come out to a hero's welcome, it looks like.
Sir, good evening. We are not worrying about these things because I was participated in this India conclave some 2-3 years before through Madam Priyamada in Hyderabad. That time on behalf of the Sasikala and Dinagaran. Now in the long journey from Bangalore to Chennai, 335-40 kilometers, organized by her so-called party people was only the crowd collected by paying money. This I have seen so many times through TTV Dinagaran. This type of the crowd, the contested the election, they lost the election, lost the deposit. The same thing that our media always particularly from Delhi, I am not criticizing, true I am telling that. Every time see Rajinikanth, superstar Rajinikanth. Then exposing Rajinikanth's name, every day talking about Rajinikanth. What has happened, sir, now?
No.
That is Rajinikanth.
We are the first to report
now
that,
the same situation now.
Sir, can you deny that Rajinikanth was not an anxiety factor for you? Come on. Until he left politics, please, let's call a spade a spade. I know Delhi media sometimes tends to misunderstand local politics, but we have the best journalists, sir. We have Priyamvada, we have Pramod, we have the best journalists over there.
Yes, until unless the person that not contesting the election, not contested the election, how you know the capacity, whoever may be, or Rajinikanth, or whoever may be, that the election is the people, you want a result from the people. Am I correct?
No, of course.
Then another thing, that none of the AIADMK party functionaries, MLA, district secretaries, ministers, and lastly, in the party people took part up in the journey. That is very, very important.
Okay.
Now starts morning 10 o'clock, now 11 o'clock. There is show me even single MLA. Show me even single member of parliament. Show me the district secretary from the party. That is a road show, sir.
Okay.
The shop, everywhere, simply the people gathering, going. What is the use? You tell me, sir.
Okay. No, fair point. Mr. Pugarendi, you make a fair point, sir. I agree with you when you say ultimately the proof of pudding is in the election result. That is the point here. But there is on the flip side of it, politics is such a game that you can never tell what's going to happen. Am I right, Mr. Rajshekharan? Would you simply dismiss these crowds as paid crowds? Mr. Pugarendi is right that crowds can easily be in this country of such a huge population. It's very easy to gather such huge crowds, especially for political events. But is it simply something that can be dismissed, or should it be taken seriously, Mr. Rajshekharan?
Shiv, I'm sorry to say one thing very clearly to everybody and your viewers who are watching this show. See, assuming that crowd has been managed by somebody who claims, but whatever may be the reason, you will not get paid crowd behaving like this. You just see the euphoria and the reactions, the way they shout. This is all definitely not paid crowd. That's what I understand. I'm also in politics for the last 3 decades.
It could be curiosity also. Could it not be just curiosity also?
See, I'll tell you, I hold no brief to anybody. Mrs. Sasikala has been convicted along with Jayalalitha, the Chief Minister, because she was holding the public office.
Correct.
She was accomplice. She was staying with her. They had traveled 33 years. Everybody knows that. But today, after Sasikala started at 8 a.m. in the morning, anybody would understand from Bangalore to Chennai, it is say 6 to 7 hours, maximum 10 hours. See, that should be the normal time when you meet crowd.
So you're saying that's a sign that she was stopping and there were huge crowds stopping her. That's what you're saying.
No, I'll tell you. Let me finish. See, this crowd is definitely not hired crowd. This crowd is not paid coolies. They are emotional cadres. They may not be holding any office in the party, but they are the real cadres of AIADMK. Because everybody say that TTV Dinagaran is a single man. Okay, point taken. I'll agree with that. But who are these crowds?
Yeah.
See, every point, there are minimum 5 to 10,000 people waiting from morning 8 o'clock till now, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. No paid crowd will be standing on the road just for seeing or wishing or showing their...
No, just look at these crowds. Look at these crowds. Mr.
Yes,
Pugarendi, let's get an answer from Mr. Pugarendi on that. Mr. Pugarendi, you know, are you dismissing these crowds? Are you underestimating the the curiosity or the connect that people associate with Sasikala? Yes, she's an ex-convict, sir. Yes, she was in jail on corruption charges. But people of Tamil Nadu also associate her as being the close confidant of Amma, who was the towering leader of your party. And we all know that there is a legacy war over Amma. The many people who are standing there for hours to catch a glimpse of Sasikala may be wanting that one connection with Amma, with Jayalalitha. That's why they are out. They may not be paid crowds. Mr. Pugarendi.
Yes, absolutely. You hit the bullseye.
Yes, you are seeing there. That is another joke. You see there, the crowd, the party workers, whatever may be, delegates or party workers, volunteers, whatever may be, holding two flags. One is Dinagaran party flag. Another one is AIADMK flag. I am asking the simple question, you tell me. The Madam Sasikala, V.S. Sasikala, belongs to which party now? Now, which party?
She doesn't have a choice in that matter, right?
That holding so many flags, that this is not an alliance party or something.
But sir, isn't that a message? Isn't that a message?
Sasikala, traveling along with Sasikala, this is the things going on there. Miss, that no clear pictures are there. That is the problem. Only road show is going on. Don't believe this crowd. This is not these people not voting for these people. They are not told anything.
See, I don't want this to be a show. Already, Mr. Pugarendi very politely has said, you Delhi media don't know anything. You always follow Rajinikanth, etc., etc. Mr. Pugarendi is a very polite man, so I take it very respectfully as a friend. But I am going to say that I don't want to swing between extremes. On the one extreme, we are saying that Sasikala, there are some who say Sasikala will make a big dent in politics. That's what the Dinakaran faction is saying. Then the AIADMK is saying, this is nothing, this is just a small road show, don't pay it any attention. But is it like that, Mr. Rajshekaran? Before I go to Priyamvada, I want to ask you that, Mr. Rajshekaran. Is the AIADMK underestimating what is going on? I mean, it is one thing to say that this is going to be a huge blockbuster entry, but it is quite the opposite to say this is nothing, we can sleep peacefully, this does not make any difference to us.
Yes, Shiv, I totally concede with Pugarendi. Just assuming that whatever he has told you, whatever you are asking is gospel truth. Okay, fine. Assuming so, why are you closing down the memorial of MGR and Jayalalitha?
Good question.
Why are you blocking and closing AIADMK headquarters? Sasikala is nobody. Sasikala is nobody. All these people are hired people. They are not cadres. They are not AIADMK. They are holding two flags. Okay, fine. Point taken. But why are you after her? You are bringing down the flag from the car. You are sending police. You are using all the ways and means to stop her entering
Good questions.
Whichever place. Why are you doing that? She is nobody. She is invalid. She is a spent force. Okay, point taken. Then why are you after her? Just allow her to travel from there and go home. Closing down every next place where she claims she is from.
These are fair questions.
Sasikala is the person who had built the AIADMK party from scratch.
I have to take a very short break, but all of our guests are going to continue to be with us. Some very, very pertinent questions have been asked. I'm sure Mr. Pugarendi wants to mount a spirited defense, but I just want to quickly full frame these visuals once again to remind our viewers what we are dealing with tonight. It's an unusual night. In politics in India, unusual nights of this kind, are seen. We have seen these late night blockbuster events by politicians across the country, especially when elections are around the corner. And Sasikala is really making an event of it. I'm taking a very quick break. Back with our guests, back with this convoy after this. Stay with us.